Hey guys, this is Matt. Welcome back to the garage. So I've already been out here for a few hours today trying to work on some things on the RX7. I went ahead and got the last little bit of interior trim except for some of the pieces here in the back. But I was poking around. I got all the seat belts out. I got the B pillar panels out. I got basically everything out of the front of the car. I've been working on cleaning up some random bits and pieces and things like that. But I was anxious to see how the bins would look because I was starting to get suspicious that I might be missing some more parts. So for the people that still have the bins in your car, I need your help on some things. I might need some clarification on exactly how they get connected into the car. I've just got them loosely set in here. So I'm definitely missing, the studs or bolts or whatever. I don't even have the holes in the body for the three along the top of the bins. Most of my tabs are broken, but it's not even clear to me if these actually connect to anything or if this is just when once the panels are put back on the car, do they just kind of hold this? So if you guys know if I'm missing something or if you've done this conversion, is there something else here that we need to get in order to get this fully installed? Like I said, I'm missing all the connectors down here, so I'll have to figure out something for that. Of course, it's going to be quite loose in here without the carpet. And again, the other side is pretty much the same way. So for those that still have the bins, get in touch with me or leave a comment down below exactly what I'm missing. I mean, I could just drill some holes and do some riv nuts or something, or some well nuts probably through there to attach those up top. And then down here, I'll just figure out some brackets or something. But I'm kind of curious about what this needs or what this goes to. Anyway, I was just wanting to check this out. But I think today's goal is going to primarily be straightening out the floor pans. I figured that, if I'm using a hammer, I'm probably gonna knock a bunch of crap out of the dash, so there was no point in cleaning the carpet and some of the other stuff out. Let me get set up for that, and then I'll check back in just a second. I probably mentioned this at least a dozen times in my last video about removing the parking brake handle, and I'm actually decided I'm gonna go ahead and do that because when I come back in with the new carpet, it's probably gonna be easier to get it out. So for that process, essentially, this is the cable, which I have to replace anyway because my cable was burned up pretty badly in the fire. It works, but the sheathing and all the grommets and things that run through the tranny tunnel back to where it forks off to go to each side of the rear discs is all burnt up. So I do have a new replacement cable. So this is a 10 mil nut. You're just going to back that off, and then on the other side there's a couple of 12 mil nuts, or it looks like 12 mil nuts that need to come off. But I am actually going to go ahead and take that off because I think it'll just be in my way moving forward.
I've been keeping myself so busy, pushing out the misery, trying to find the peace in me. I wanna be find myself better again. It's always a phase, I wanted to stay. No, you don't understand, I've been losing myself.
Looks like the fire also took out the parking brake sensor, so I may have to go ahead and try to track down a new unit or see if I can get just this part. And then the handle is pretty rough too, and the boot's got some tears in it. It looks like it's got it, the heat got to it right there. So I may need to do some more shopping. It's good that we're going through this process because we're identifying a lot of the issues, which I knew some of the stuff didn't work in the car anyway. Once we get everything replaced, hopefully everything will work like new again. Both sides of my floor pans are pretty dented upward. I don't know if the car ever bottomed out on something or was ever jacked up, but I think the easiest place to see it is right here underneath the driver's seat. And I would imagine, not having a new car for reference, but I would imagine that this needs to be flat front to back, and there's probably about a 1-inch hump right here. So I'll show you what I'm going to do here, just because some of the other places are difficult, but basically the driver's side underneath the footrest is also the same way, and then over here on the passenger side, while not as bad, is definitely dented up. I want to attack these, the bottom of these grooves. So I've got various blocks of wood. I've got a couple different hammers, but I'll start with the sledge. I'm going to apply an even amount of taps with the hammer, kind of focusing on this area right here, really here in this trench and this trench, and then hopefully we'll get the whole thing, roughly straightened out, and then we can, come back and start cleaning up some of the ridges. But for now, I'm going to try to focus on this area here and here and see if we can get this lowered down. Hopefully the time lapse picked up, how much we actually, got that pressed in. So I think, obviously I still have the sound deadening on the car, so that's probably giving it a little bit of resistance on getting it smoothed out. But I think that's much improved. And underneath the seat is probably not the biggest deal because it really doesn't impact anything. Underneath the footrests will be a bigger issue just because the way that carpet is molded. And I'll leave this area like it is for now. And then, maybe after I've gotten everything kind of straightened out from up here, best I can tell, then I may lift the car up and then, maybe start trying to bring this, more flat on the bottom, because, we may be pushing the whole pan down as opposed to just these localized areas. I'm going to move over to the left side and do the same process, and then I'll check back in once I've gotten more of this flattened out. It's probably hard to tell on the camera, but I did make a lot of progress on getting this relatively flattened out. I think the driver's side, the front, was a little more challenging. I think there must be a seam right there where another layer of the body welds to that location, because it's actually a lot stiffer right there. But lost a little bit of soundproofing along the way, but not a big deal. But it does seem like it's relatively flat. And then of course the other side, again, you're not going to be able to really tell, but much improved from what it was. When I get the car up on a lift the next time, I will check everything out, see how it looks down below. We can make some final adjustments before we, get this all covered back up. I think there's just a few more things I need to get out of the car. I do not plan on using the factory antenna. It's been removed from this car. So I think I'm going to go ahead and take this cable all the way out. It looks like I do need to go ahead and get the hatch and the gas filler lid removed, because it looks like the carpet needs to go up underneath there, and mine's pretty rusty, so I need to get it cleaned up. And then I've got this big chunk of carpet that I still need to get out. Now it goes all the way up to the firewall, and I've already given it a little bit of a tug and it's melted on there pretty good. I do not really want to take out the heater box just because I don't want to disconnect everything, but I may have to take a few of the nuts loose just to get it to where I can lift it up just a little bit to try to pull this carpet out. But so I think that's probably the next thing for me, is get this antenna cable out and then start working on that carpet. I got all of the carpet out from underneath the heater box, and like pretty much everything else in that area, it was melted on there due to the fire. So it looks like a lot of the soundproofing is melted, and it's pretty nasty. So I have a lot of work cut out for me trying to get all that cleaned up. So I think that gets everything out of the car that I wanted to get out of the car. You know, obviously all this has to get cleaned up, and you know, I'm going to take a vacuum through everything, brushes, cleaner, and get everything looking new again. I'm going to run through all this wiring harness and see if there's any issues, you know, any frayed wires or places that I need to rewrap, and I'll use Tessa tape to rewrap those locations. And there are a few spots that I'll need to maybe hit with some primer just to stop them from having any further rust. I need to figure out about the rear bins, make sure I've got all the pieces that I need to get that installed. I think after I get everything cleaned up really well, I do have some areas of soundproofing that I would like to go ahead and put in the car, particularly with the doors, which the audio system will be a whole, you know, video or two to itself. So I think that's where I'm going to leave this video. I've got a lot of cleanup to do, and I'm going to get the vacuum out and go ahead and maybe spray some cleaner on some of this stuff to go ahead and get because some of that's kind of sticky and tacky and nasty. So I'll need to really focus on getting that cleaned up. At least for today, other than maybe the parking brake lever and boot, I don't think I need to order anything else. So that's probably the first time that I've worked on this car and not found something significant that I have to order. So I'll look into that and see what I need to do. But otherwise, I think everything else looks good. I'll make sure everything is really clean and, you know, back to factory spec before we get it covered up. I know this video didn't really show a lot of, you know, progress. I think it's a big step getting everything out of the car that needed to get out of the car, and now the process is really just getting everything cleaned up and getting everything put back in the car. Hopefully the next video or two will really show that progress. I think scrubbing out all that fire damage is probably what's going to be tedious, and I won't really film that. I'll just try to get it done off camera so that it's taken care of. But that is a goopy mess, and I don't really have a good thought right now on how I'm going to get all that out, other than scraping it and maybe breaking out the wire brush or something and trying to scrub all that out. I know I glazed over some of the trim removal, but again, it's just a couple of fasteners and then just being careful to, you know, pull evenly on the panel, and you'll start feeling where all the connectors are. Taking out the rear seat belts, just a couple of bolts, not a big deal. So if you have any questions on that, let me know and I can go in a little more depth to that. If anybody has any thoughts on my rear bins and anything that I'm missing, I've looked at the factory service manual, and the diagram isn't all that clear. It doesn't really show anything extra on the sides of the bin that would connect all that together. I need to get my mess cleaned up, and it's past dinner time for me. So if you guys have any questions, as always, leave them down below and I'll try to answer them. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Thanks for all your support, and I'm going to see you guys next time.